Okay, hi, welcome everybody. Everybody's still getting settled. So we are going to get started. I just want to welcome everybody to our first session of our first annual NF Summit. We are very excited. If you've been around for a while, you know the NF Patient and Family Forum. This is that, but grown, expanded, more inclusive is our goal. We're really excited that you're here. So thank you for joining us. So I'm Kate. I work with CTF in patient support. I've been in and around the NF community for probably going on 15 years now in different roles as a nurse. And I can't leave. I love what I do and I love being a part of CTF. So thanks for joining us. So I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping things as we get started. As you can see, we've got the captions going. If you have any need to see the screen, we do try to reserve tables at the front of every room so that is an option. So please take advantage of that. Also, if you're in the Whova app, you're welcome to ask questions. If you go into the specific session, there's an option to ask questions in there. We will be moderating those and posing those questions to speakers, but obviously you're also welcome at the end of the talk when the speaker says, I'll take some questions, you may ask those here in the room as well. We don't have a microphone for that, so if you can speak up when you ask your questions, that would be great. Okay, so we're going to get started. The focus of today's session is patient engagement, and we're going to hear from several different speakers with different perspectives and areas of expertise when it comes to this important concept. So first, you're going to hear from me. So I don't normally give this presentation. My coworker Pam and also my Heather did the bulk of the work putting this together, so I want to thank them. They're not able to be here today, and so I have the privilege of talking to you about the registry. So my focus today is to think through how do we use the NF registry to make NF visible to industry and pharma. So Cynthia is here with me, and we're gonna both be speaking about this today. She'll bring a different perspective. She works in pharma, but really her goal is to help us understand why the registry is a powerful tool for advancing clinical care, research, and access to treatments for this community. So we're going to start just with some basics. I'm going to move through this fairly quickly, and obviously I'm happy to take questions at the end. So the registry is a voluntary patient enter database. It just means that it's entirely up to you to be a part of it, and that you are in control of your data. No one is entering it on your behalf. Questions that we ask in the registry are approved by our Clinical Care Advisory Board and our Medical Advisory Committee. These are groups of clinicians who have volunteered their time to us to review these questions to make sure that they are efficient, that they are correct and accurate, and we're thankful for their support. It is also IRB and HIPAA approved and HIPAA compliant. What this essentially means is that we have gone to great lengths to make sure that your data is extremely safe. It meets the highest standards of privacy law here in the States as well as in Europe because it is an international database. It's also web-based, so you do need access to the internet to participate, to join the registry. It's maintained by OpenApp. I like to mention this because if you visit the registry, you might see their name on the website and think, well, what's this weird company I've never heard of? They built the platform. They do not have access to any of the data. So they built the machine. We control the data. And the last thing is that it is currently the largest worldwide database of individuals with NF, and we want to see it get even bigger. So who completes and who joins the registry? So that is anyone with NF1, NF2, or schwannomatosis, both a confirmed diagnosis or suspected. For some people, I know the journey to diagnosis can be long, and we want those folks to be a part of it as well. All ages, races, ethnic groups. Like I said, we've recently translated the registry into multiple languages to encourage people around the world to join and be a part of this. So once you turn 18, you are able to take over your own account, but parents do own and create accounts for minors. We do also have allowances for individuals who are over 18 but need support. And a parent or a guardian or their care advocate can still have access to their registry account if they need that help. And then families link their accounts, and that's just, it really is efficient. I'm going to show you some images from a test subject in the registry so you can kind of see what this looks like. But it means that if you are affected and have a child that's affected, you can access both of those accounts from one space to make it easy. So you join by visiting the website. It will ask you to create a login and a password. It will ask you some very basic information. And then once you fill that in, it will send you an email and ask you to confirm that you want to join, at which point it will give you access to your dashboard where you can fill out your healthcare survey. There are extensive agreements, kind of waivers it's consent that you need to sign or click off. And we always suggest you read that carefully and make sure you know kind of what we're doing with your data and how that works. So it can take a bit of time to get all set up with your account. So just be sure to have set some time apart for that. We ask unique questions. So once you have your dashboard and you've identified your diagnosis, you do not get the same survey that someone with a different diagnosis gets. These are specific because we are trying to understand how living with NF1, NF2, schwannomatosis, how these things affect your life and what your personal experience is. Okay, so here's the landing page. I just like to show it. We revamped the registry about 2 years ago now, and so this is what it looks like. You'll see on the top corner, there's a little flag. You can change the language there. That's where you log in. This is also where you go to start and activate or to start a new account. And so that all happens here. And then there's some basic information about the registry on this page as well. Here's an example of questions that we might ask in the registry. So we're going to ask demographics, like I said, your symptoms, any treatments you've had, quality of life questions about pain and learning. Also, it's not listed here, but we do ask about any clinical trials or research that you've participated in as well. And then it can take up to about 30 minutes to fill out the healthcare survey, but it does save your progress, so you don't need to do it all at once. And we do ask that you update that survey annually, which again, I like to just sort of park here for a moment and talk about how once you've filled out your survey, if you come back in once a year and you update and you fill out a new survey, I know for many people, there may be nothing that's changed or very little that's changed, but there maybe you had a new treatment, a new clinical trial you joined, a new symptom that's become more problematic. And when we have those data points on an individual where it's over 10, 15, 20 years, then we start to be able to see trends, right? And we can see that individuals who are living with schwannomatosis, who are experiencing pain, it's getting worse as they get older, right? Maybe that's a bit obvious for some of us, but it's important that we can see these kinds of trends. Oh, sorry, I did want to say, this is an example of a question. I like to show this because we've added pictures and descriptions so that if we say, do you have a plexiform neurofibroma, we're not assuming you know what that means or what that is, right? So we're going to show you so that you're better able to answer these questions. Okay, and this is the dashboard. This is fake. This is my fake account. And essentially, this is what you would see. There's an enroll button if I need to add children, additional family members, and then I would just click on whoever's survey I was going to update and be able to access everything here. So the registry connects you to research in a very specific way. The first thing that happens is that a researcher, clinician, anyone who wants to access the registry will reach out to us. And so we ask them to fill out a very specific document that tells us exactly what their study is. We ask about how much time this takes, if there's any travel involved, things of that nature. And then we give that to what we call the Data Usage Committee. And this is made up of clinicians who are experts in NF, but it's also made up of patients, patient advocates, who they are reviewing it, and they are looking for, does this seem like a study that is worth my time as someone living with this condition? Does the burden seem too great? Are there things about it that are confusing, right? And we need that feedback. Once our data usage committee has given that feedback, either approved the study or we've clarified if there were questions, if we're ready to move forward, then the registry can send emails out to people who are part of it that are very granular. So we don't blast out an email to the whole registry if what the researcher needs is adults over 40 with NF1 and cutaneous neurofibromas who live in the United States, right? Then we can do that. We can send this email only to those individuals. In that email will be information about next steps. And the important thing about that part of the process is that that researcher who's asking you to be a part of their study or to fill out their survey does not have access to any of your information. That email has come from the registry, and until you decide, I'm going to click this link or I'm going to email this study coordinator to learn more, they won't know anything about who's part of the registry. So that, again, that's you owning that data and getting to decide whether you're interested in being a part of some opportunity for research. I do like to mention that we do recommend, if it is some kind of clinical trial, you might speak with your NF clinician about, if they think it might be an appropriate opportunity for you as well. We always recommend that. So what have we gotten so far? Here we go. We have over 10,000 patients that are in the registry, and that's a great number, but it does not even come close to representing the number of people around the world who are impacted, right? And so we really want to see this grow. We have members of the registry in over 91 countries, something that we're also seeing grow as we've done the translations, which is fantastic. We've sent out over 60 recruitments. That's what we call those emails that let people know that there's opportunities for research. We've also had 4 publications come directly out of the registry itself. So this slide right here is a great demonstration of what we're going to move into now, and what Cynthia is really going to help me talk to you guys about, which is that back in 2015, the Wall Street Journal, pointed out in this article that enrolling patients in drug trials when they're in the rare disease community is incredibly difficult and really slows down the process of getting a drug from trial to market. And this is why the registry is so vital. What I often realize is that people that are living within this community often don't feel rare, right? You don't feel like a rare condition. And we often say, oh, it's the most common rare condition, right, that you've never heard of. That's a common phrase that we use. But researchers, clinicians, industry, they don't know where you are, right? They don't know how to find this community. So if they say, we have this drug we think might help with this thing that's a symptom of NF2 or NF1, they need a way to find you, right? So if you've got a researcher needs 30 patients to do their first part of their trial, and it takes them a year to find 30 patients, we've slowed it way down, right? But if they can come to the registry and say, here's the opportunity, and this incredible community can say, oh yeah, that sounds great to me. Maybe they get 30 patients in 2 months, right? So the power of the registry really is, that's one piece of it. Okay, so facilitate patient participation in clinical trials, right? We've talked about this. It just opens the door for you. Being a part of the registry never requires you to participate in any kind of study, trial, any of that. That's always up to the individual user. Accelerate, like I was saying, right? Accelerating from we have an idea to we've tried the idea to the idea worked or it didn't work, right? Educate. So we will use the registry to let you know about educational opportunities. Again, we send them out very specifically. So we had a webinar that was specifically about schwannomatosis last fall. We sent it out through the registry to those living with schwannomatosis. We do not send information about any of our fundraising events, our walks. These are all fabulous things. We don't use the registry to talk about those things though. We do collect information. So I want to talk a little bit about de-identified data. What this means is that sometimes a researcher doesn't need to talk to patients, right? What they want to do is take all these data points we have and we remove everything that identifies who the people are, name and birthday and location, all those things. And now what they have is a list of hundreds, thousands of data points saying, teenage girls with NF1, oh, there's a trend. They seem to have a lot of depression, right? I'm making these things up, but you see, it's this idea that if we have a lot of data, then we can actually say, oh, there's a pattern. We weren't seeing this pattern before, right? So that's really the nice thing about that. And then incentivizing pharma and biotech, right, to invest in NF. So I'm gonna pause. And I'm going to invite Cynthia to talk about that.
I don't know if this microphone's on.
Do you want to stand up here? Sure. Great. Go for it.
So hello, everybody. My name is Cynthia Cassandro. I am the head of global patient advocacy with Alexian Pharmaceuticals. And what a privilege to A, be here for the first session of the summit, and B, to be able to spend time with you talking about the importance of registries and clinical research and participation. In my role at Alexian, I work across 20 different rare diseases, and nothing happens without you and your involvement and participation in research. And it is a heroic effort on your part. And I think this registry with CTF is really, it's incredible and super important. And specifically to what Kate was talking about, organizing data, accelerating the outcomes of those data and getting them to the drug developers, and can really help to accelerate our whole drug development process, and can really accelerate the component of finding the solutions, the moments that really matter to you. And I feel that what registries do in particular allow this, there's a component of research that I feel like you get asked questions over and over and over again. And when you participate in research, as Kate talked about, some of this data can be aggregated and disseminated in a way that is really impactful and can move things along at a pace that's faster than you would if it was very disparate. So this is a fantastic effort. What we work to do from an Alexian perspective, and Kate and I had a conversation around this, is ensure that when we're asking for participation in this type of research, we're making it as seamless and as easy as possible, and decreasing the burden on anybody that's involved, whether it's the patient, the family, the investigator. And those are things that we can all partner with together. So we'll be interested to hear in some of your feedback in terms of how we could go about doing that and really be better partners. Again, my perspective is really from Alexion, the pharmaceutical industry as a whole, but whatever we can do with CTF in this registry and help to support that, we're really looking forward to it. So thank you, Kate.
So I'm going to just talk a little bit about how you can get involved, and then we're going to take some questions, and Cynthia and I are both happy to respond to those. So obviously joining the registry is fantastic. We would love for you to join, and I'm always happy to talk about it and answer any concerns or areas of confusion. The other thing is to talk to people about it. So if you're connected in the NF community, let your people know that this is an opportunity for them. And also, the Data Usage Committee is always open to new volunteers. So if you're interested in being one of those people that gets to see what researchers are asking to do with the registry, or how they want to access it, you can reach out to me anytime, and my information is going to be on the next slide. But the goal of the Usage Committee as a patient or patient advocate is the idea of, is this study useful, safe, and clear for the NF community? And nobody can tell us that better than the community. So this is my email. My boss, Pam, that's her email as well. So that is all I have, but we have some time. I'm just going to check my phone. Yeah, we have about 10 minutes, and I'd be happy to take questions if there are any. I apologize for the mic not being out, so you'll have to speak up a little bit if you don't mind. And you can also, like I said, you can ask questions in the app. Yeah, that's true. We could pass the mic around. Thank you, Tina. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Oh, yeah.
I sent a question to the Hoover app.
I see it. Thank you. Oh, okay. Yeah, so the question is, if I was diagnosed with NF2 over 40 years ago, how do I check if I am in the registry? Great question. So individuals join the registry themselves as adults, or sometimes a parent might do it and you might not know. But the registry has only been around for, help me out here, 8 years. So if you have not joined yourself in the last 8 years, then you are not in there. Yeah, thank you. Okay, any other? Yes, go ahead.
Hi. So I'm a parent of an NF1 child, but I'm also a professor of statistics. Okay. So when you talk about trends, it is like kind of my area. Could you tell a little bit like who investigates these trends? Do you have a group of statisticians, or is it done by volunteers?
Okay. No, that's a great question. So actually one of the one of our goals with the NF registry in the coming years at CTF is to do a lot more with what we have. And so right now, we recently had, in fact, she's here, Vanessa Merker is here, so she might talk about it, but we had a group of researchers reach out and ask, they did a survey, and they also looked at access to healthcare, that people living with NF, what barriers there were for them getting access to care. But when it comes to extensive research in looking at some of these trends, it's an area that we have more opportunities to grow in and to do more work in that. But no, there's not currently a specific team. Great, thank you, Annette. This is our president, Annette Bacher.
So no, I maybe just wanted to quickly comment on your question. So we had some questions when patients were entering their data. The clinicians were wondering whether that data was actually usable, right? Whether that
Great
reflected
example.
the real condition.
Yes.
So 2 years into the registry, we in fact hired a consultant statistician to do an analysis together with a head of global clinical development from another company. And we looked at the questions, we looked at the distribution, we looked at the data, and it really gave us comfort that, and that publication has been published, by the way, and it really gave us comfort that the patients actually really do know what they have and what they're talking about, and that the parents are really experts in the conditions of their children.
Yep.
So that it gave us really confidence in that what we were recruiting in the registry. The only thing that we saw is that there was a little bit of a bias towards the more severe conditions, which of course makes sense, because if your children are perfect, you may not want to register, or you may not even be curious about the registry. But let's say, statistically speaking, the distribution was very comparable to what the clinicians report about NF.
Yeah.
So
Thank
that
you,
gave us
Annette.
confidence in the quality of the registry.
I'm glad she's here. Thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay. I have a question for the audience, if that's okay. I put a poll in Whova before the session, asking about whether you were part of the registry or not a part of the registry. I'm curious, as a individual that's part of this community, if you're willing to share any barriers that you experience with, or any reasons you might not want to be part of the registry, what those concerns are, or if it doesn't seem useful to you. I'd be curious if anyone is open to sharing that. That's okay. Okay, that's okay. Okay, no other questions for now? Okay, great. Well, thank you, everybody. We are going to move on to our next talk.